When it's going to be one of those mornings, apparently. All right. So, yeah, you think you're live when you're really not. I literally will break the fourth wall here. I hit the button for everything, and I started talking, and I looked up on the upper right-hand corner of the grid here, and I hadn't punched the go live button. So I literally started at 9:05, and I was gone. I was off and running. It's going to be one of those mornings. So welcome to Soccer's Morning Show. And, Coco, I was off and running. I mean, I was flying. Absolutely flying. I was absolutely flying. So, good morning, everybody. First hour's y'all's. Go for it. Yeah, flying like Man City. Just boom. I was off and running. Hour number one's yours. We're going to talk Open Cup. We're going to talk about the match. We're going to talk about whatever's on your mind. Go ahead and put it in the Twitch pitch. Just go for it. Jared will be in a little bit. And we'll go over quotes. Like I said, we'll go over what you thought. And hour number two, we'll have the guys from the USL Show. It'll be Kaylor, Hodges, and John Morrissey for their monthly visit. We'll talk about what's going on in the USL Championship. 10:30, we'll talk about everything else that happened. Last time I heard, has someone checked on Bart? And we'll check on somebody checked on Bart Kaylor. So we'll talk about Manchester City, and we'll talk about Arsenal. We'll talk about LAFC. Bam, you'll probably end up having gone to bed by the time we get there. Might be about 12:30. LAFC in Philadelphia, through the first leg, nothing's resolved. So there you go. So we got all the rest of the stuff on the planet from 10:30 on, 10 to 10:30. It's our guys from the USL Show. Go ahead. Lay it all out there. Whatever's on your mind after what happened last night. And we will continue to talk about Open Cup and all that kind of stuff with the match that happened last night. And Gonzalo Pineda rotated 10. Memphis and Stephen Glass came in first choice. Tyler Wolf scores for 4 minutes in. And like I said, Memphis just stuck with it. And you've got Clement Diop. And I know that a lot of you are talking about Clement Diop in the Twitch pitch right now. He stood on his head. And there was a moment, I think, in like the 87th when I think his hand got stomped. And I know that there was a collective bleep moment. And you're looking at something that happened there. But he stuck it out. And, once again, that's why you bring in guys like Clement Diop. And so, like I said, it's all on what you guys want to talk about. Just lay it all out there. Just put it in the Twitch pitch, and we'll go over it. I mean, I will go through all of your comments, and we will go over what you guys thought. And like I said, Jared will be in a little bit, but I want you to get last night off your chest. I want you to, because I'm fairly certain that after what happened last night, I know that you were thinking about it for a long time. And after today, let's focus on Nashville. I'll get you the quotes here in just a second. Obviously, we can go through the numbers. We can go through stats and all those kinds of things. But, yeah, Memphis deserved to win. No doubt about it. Memphis deserved to win. You could sense that when you looked at when you looked at Atlanta United, once again, you talk about when you rotate 10, there's cohesion, and that was a word that was brought up last night. Relationships, we talk about that in a situation like this. And trying to figure out, okay, if I'm a player on that pitch, guys around me do this, I'm supposed to do this in return. It's kind of like learning as you go in a game state. Yes, you can do whatever you want to in a practice setting and try to learn about those relationships. But and that's another thing. For no need for Purata to go to ground 5 stripe. That is true. And when you have the lineup that you had, what you're doing, it's twofold. What you are doing is you are trying, and like I said, this is me. And like I said, we'll talk about this in hour number 1. Because of the schedule compression that we talked about yesterday, there are going to be moments where you are going to have to rotate because you don't want to have your entire first team out there for every single match, every single time between now and the middle of June, or the weekend of June the 9th and 10th. Between now and then, you don't want your first choice lineup out there every single time. So this was an opportunity to see about those guys that don't regularly get the chance to start and how they respond. Like I said, Gonzalo Pineda rotated 10 of 11 from the weekend. And you got to see Tyler Wolff put one on the back of the net. I think, honestly, that if he didn't slip on the second one, I think the story would have been different. But once again, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. So you look at giving those players a chance. I think that Machop Chol, when he came in, continued to impress. I think Ronald Hernandez impressed last night. Once again, I think you're looking for more of what we saw from Tyler Wolff. I think that you look at somebody like Noah Cobb. Noah and Ricky will get into Zhelyashkov too. You look at what Noah Cobb was able to do at the back. I thought that that was impressive. And you have you got what you saw from certain players, but I know that you wanted more from others. And in trying to have those 10 that were out there trying to once again figure out and integrate and how they're supposed to do all these kinds of things, that's where you were. And once again, Memphis, to their credit, like I said, Memphis played better. We'll get into the numbers. And I know that a lot of you are upset, rightfully so, considering what happened. Because I know that the expectations are always there for this team to go very, very far in whatever tournament we're talking about, whether it's MLS, an MLS regular season, whether it's U.S. Open Cup, whatever we're talking about here. The expectation is always there. And I think that once again, if Atlanta United had put some of those chances in the back of the net early on, then we wouldn't be having this discussion. But looking at the statistics on the day, once again, I've got to try and find the numbers, the numbers. Okay, stats. Total shots 30-10 for Memphis. 10 on target to 2. 11 blocks to 5. 12 corners to 3. 37 fouls called in the match. Once again, we'll get on Alexander Zhelyashkov in a second. 4 yellows to 2. to Atlanta United. Big chances, counterattack shots, shots inside and outside the box, all in Memphis's favor. Clement Diop, by the way, had 8 saves. 8 saves on the day. 36 tackles for Atlanta United compared to 19, 16 picks to 12 for Memphis, 43 clearances for Atlanta United in that match against Memphis 901. So those are the numbers themselves. You want to get into individual player numbers. Clement Diop punched in 8. Most players were in the 6s and 7s, except for the substitutes. Substitutes were all below 7, understandably so. So those are your numbers. But bottom line was Memphis played better. Bottom line, Memphis played better. With their first choice lineup, they came in first choice, and they seem to be understanding what Stephen Glass wants them to do now. And it took a while. First 2 matches got blown out. They're unbeaten in their last 4 across all competitions. Like I said, it's taken them a while to figure it out, but they figured it out. And Memphis 901 moves on. No, Emilio, we're not going to spend an hour on officiating. No, like I said, no. It is not going to be an hour on officiating. Because there's far more that I want you guys to get off your chest. Like I said, I want this first hour to be about you getting stuff off your chest. Like I said, we'll talk about it, move on. Because we got Nashville coming up on the weekend, and we got stuff to talk about tomorrow when it comes to Nashville. But last night, once again, looking at the numbers, Ibarra highly rated, Wiley highly rated. Once again, you look at a lot of players punching 6s. You had Johnny Fortune getting minutes last night as a part of that starting 11. I mean, your starting 11 was this: Diop, Wiley, Abram, Noah Cobb, Ronald Hernandez, Johnny Fortune, Franco Ibarra, Tyler Wolff, Amar Sejdic, Luis Arujo, Miguel Berry. Once again, rotating 10 of 11 from the weekend. From our friends at SofaScore, in the 7 range, 7 or higher. Obviously, we talked about Diop getting an 8. Wiley, Abram, Ibarra, Wolff. Ibarra scored one of the higher ratings. And Arujo, each punched higher than a 7. 7 or higher. Diop punched an 8. 6s in the starting lineup: Noah Cobb, Ronald Hernandez, Johnny Fortune, Amar Sejdic, Miguel Berry, and all 5 substitutes. So that's what you were staring at from all of your numbers last night. Well, and Abby, it was a high 7. Once again, from our friends, like I said, from our friends at SofaScore, here's what Luis Arujo, with that yellow card, had a 7.7. 1 assist, 38 touches, 14 of 21 passing, 2 of 5 on his long balls. And that one long ball that created the goal for Tyler Wolff, exquisite. 1 big chance created, 1 shot blocked, 6 for 6 on his dribbles, 13 of 11 on his duels that were won, fouled twice, 3 tackles. And that was Luis last night. Luis had a 7.7. Short of Clement Diop, Luis Arujo had the highest rating of a position player last night. Franco Ibarra was second at a 7.6. 120 minutes. And this is another thing that we'll talk about in this particular instance. We got minutes played by guys, and it was a lot more minutes than Gonzalo Pineda would have liked. You're going to wonder what the lineup's going to look like in Nashville on the weekend for a team that played the last match last weekend, Open Cup midweek, and the first match on Saturday. You get this to think about, too. Franco Ibarra, 75 touches, 78% passing, 39 of 50. 4 long balls, 18 of 12 on ground duels, 3 of 5 in the air. So 15 of 23 on his duels last night, Franco Ibarra. Fouled 3 times, 4 clearances, 2 blocks, an interception, 10 tackles from Franco Ibarra last night. So that's what you got from those two. Those two were your highest-rated players, your highest-rated position players last night were Franco Ibarra and Luis Araujo. According to our friends at SofaScore, that's what the numbers were last night. So, but once again, I know that what you want to talk about, I mean, like I said, we can talk numbers, but I want you to get this. I want you to get what happened last night. I want you to get it out of your system. I want you to tell everybody else in the Twitch pitch what's on your mind, and we'll get into it. For those of you that didn't get the chance to look at any of the quotes from last night, and I'm going to give you the quotes full from Gonzalo Pineda. He was asked about what's concerning going forward, and obviously this was immediately after the match. So he says, have to analyze the game on video and all that. First thing that comes to mind is we're not good enough first on the ball. Something we work on every day, very hard on how we have good possessions of the ball, create chances. Today it did not manifest, and we weren't ready for the battle. I felt that today Memphis were more ready for the battle. They were trying to win the duels and do everything they can to put pressure on us. Our team was not showing that. You know that fears in certain parts of the field and those visual cues that we worked very hard on, high pressure, and put pressure on the opponent for mistakes, it didn't manifest today. So I take responsibility for these because I rotate based on many factors that we have within the team, our rotation of players, fitness levels, game on Saturday away. A very, very good game that we have on Saturday against a very tough opponent. So I made rotations, and I will take responsibility for those rotations for today's result. Follow-up on rotations having the effect of the lack of pressure and execution. Well, a little is cohesion, right? The cohesion of things when I rotate 10 out of the starting 11, that played last weekend on Sunday. So then the cohesion part, maybe at times, the communication, I felt we were able to solve it properly, but we were not ready for that. So they didn't manifest it today. It's at times hard, when you play against a team that looks in rhythm, that play consistently, they're cohesive. They pretty much put their starting lineup that being played from the very beginning. And we put a team that never played together. So that's kind of the risk that you take when you rotate in that manner against this type of an opponent. And I take that risk because I tried to, number one, give opportunities to play the habit, see minutes, number one. Number two, try to rotate based on fitness levels, certain guys that we wanted to take care of their load, their management of their load. Once again, he said he will take responsibility for those. What I can anticipate is that after this match was over, there was a fairly spirited discussion. It doesn't have to be raised voices. You don't have to yell and scream and turn the hairdryer on to make a point. But after that match last night, and probably today, the message was pointed, and the message better have been received by players that want to play consistently as a part of this roster. I'm not going to use the cliche wake-up call. I'm not going to do that. But what I think last night was, it was an opportunity for some that they did not take advantage of. And that's what you want to do. You want to sit there and give players an opportunity because of all of the different competitions that you're in. You want to sit there and go, okay, I want to give you guys a chance because I don't want – no, I'm trying to avoid cliches this morning. I'm trying to avoid cliches this morning, Tom. You gave players an opportunity to show that they deserve the chance for more minutes. And the staff will analyze what happened against Memphis in Open Cup and add to that the idea of, okay, what do we see during the week as to who continues to get those chances. Like I said, I think Noah Cobb continues to get those chances. Obviously, we saw what Caleb does. You look at a Johnny Fortune, Amar Sadich, Tyler Wolf. You want more from Tyler Wolf. Like I said, Franco coming back from injury. I don't know if you're going to see him in Nashville at least start, considering he gave you 120 minutes. Caleb Wiley, obviously punching a 7.2 last night. Like I said, Ronald Hernandez, I think he earned more minutes because of what we saw. Caleb Wiley, for the record, just the numbers, and that's 60 minutes. 8 of 10 on duels, 2 interceptions, 4 tackles, 2 clearances, foul, and 42 touches, 76% passing, 19 of 25, 1 for 2 on dribbles. So that's what you got from Caleb last night. But once again, I think that you look at what we saw from Machop Chol. Machop Chol came in with 20 to go, gave you 50 minutes. Andrew Gutman came in with 30 to go, so he gave you 60. Brooks gave you 60. Derek Etienne Jr. gave you 50. Machop gave you 50. Juanjo Purata gave you 40. With these guys, they're probably a part of your 18, and you are consulting heavily with your physio staff as to figure out how many minutes you're going to be getting from guys. It will be an interesting layout with the lineup in Nashville because you played 30 more minutes than you should have. So there it is. And I know that, like I said, I want all of you guys to put everything on your mind, put it in the Twitch pitch this morning. But the bottom line at the end of the day, Memphis played better than Atlanta United did. And Atlanta and Gonzalo Pineda, once again, I think you'll be the first person to sit there and say, yeah, they played better. There were points where you could tell that the group, traditionally what we see is the very, very quick passing and the building up out of the back, where you ended up seeing more launching out of the back instead of build-up play. So there better be a lot of soul searching after this one. Who wants to play? Who wants to play more? Because Memphis 901 came here to Atlanta in U.S. Open Cup play. And I know that we had a 1-0 lead if you're talking about it from an Atlanta United perspective. Juanjo Purata goes to ground. I think Philip Goodrum saw Purata go to ground and accentuated that just a bit. Got the penalty call, converted the penalty, played the extra 30. But playing that extra 30 presents more issues with minutes for the match in Nashville. Once again, at the end of the day, Memphis played better than you did. You weren't getting the second balls. You weren't linking up your play. But once again, cohesion is a part of that, trying to figure out, okay, what these combinations and unfamiliar ideas and players and things like that. So that's where we are. I know that you guys wanted to talk a little bit about Alexander Zhelyashkov. 37 fouls, first and foremost. 37 fouls called. So that's what you're staring at from Alexander Zhelyashkov in the middle. At times, trying to determine what was being seen and or whistled and or called. I will swear up and down there was one instance where it was a 7-second delay. Foul happened. We all saw it. Then 7 seconds later, you get a whistle blow. And then there was one other instance where the player that was down was going to get a card. Zhelyashkov stands over the player. That literally stands over him, looks down at him, helps him up, and gives him the card. No, Joe. No, I'm just saying that inconsistent is a good word to use. No, it is not. It is not a mutually exclusive thing. It's a separate topic that I'm bringing into the discussion. It was an interesting evening. It was an interesting evening. Let's put it that way. No, Ricky says, I don't know if it's my fault or not. If you think I'm taking your hand to get up and be given a card, you're crazy. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was intriguing trying to gauge the room when it came to figuring out calls and whistles, and it almost turned into a bit of a waiting game. It's like, okay, how many beats before we get the whistle in this case? So, no, it was not a reason that the inconsistency was there. It was an interesting evening with him in the middle, but no, it is not. It is part of the larger overarching discussion. It is not a part of the focus of the discussion. It is an element of the evening. It is not the element of the evening. So, I'm going to go back to the top of the order since everybody. I'm hoping everybody has been putting in their comments, because, like I said, I want all of this. Yeah, last night's game was frustrating. No question about it. It was frustrating. So, yeah, and there were other opportunities that that should have been in the back of the net, and I think that it would have been different. Michael thinks that the effort was uninspired and lethargic. I don't think it was that. I just think the other team was better than you. Uninspired and lethargic means that you're disinterested. I don't think that Atlanta United was disinterested in being there. If you're disinterested in chasing after a trophy, then I don't think that a player should be involved in the discussion of being out there in any kind of 11. And I've gone back to the beginning. I've gone back to the beginning of the timeline. So if I miss something, go ahead and resubmit. You got chaos, yes. You got a cup set, but uninspired and lethargic means to me that that the impression is that they were disinterested. I don't think that's the case. I just think that Memphis was better. And you take everything, you move forward. So Ricky's ready to play. Nashville, never think about Memphis again. Phoenix, looked like we underestimated the opponent and didn't look like we wanted to win. And when Abby, that's right, Abby, you were right behind the benches last night. Everybody's saying good things about Clement Diop and Hernandez. Bam, I have not seen the groups yet. Carson, Timbers, Sounders, and RSL in a group. Yeah, Abby thought Tyler should have been subbed. He was gassed. But once again, what do you do with formation, positions, players, those kinds of things? Bill Hamid, I don't believe was challenged enough, to be perfectly honest. I don't think that Bill Hamid was challenged enough last night. And for someone who did not look all that mobile, I think that his tower should have been buzzed a little more. I think that he should have been challenged, put pressure on him, make him dribble, make him make decisions with his feet, make him make fast decisions. I don't think there was enough challenging of Bill Hamid last night. Let's see. 5-stripe. Obvious our mostly backups aren't good enough mentally to beat a second-tier side, uninspired and troubling. Michael's been very, very busy this morning on a bunch of different fronts. Conventional wisdom is first goal sets the stage it does for us in the wrong way. Giving up 30 shots to a second division team should be a crime. Alex, yesterday was not a great day. Then I went to the match and it didn't get any better. Alex, I hope you're well. Coco, blame the flatness of the second half on the entire lineup and coaching staff that sat back, let Memphis do whatever they wanted. I lay the winning goal solely at Parata's bonehead tackle. Ricky, like every year outside of 19 after today, I won't be caring about Open Cup outside the teams I want to losing. And this is going to be pretty much the year of chalk. We all wanted cup sets. We're not getting a whole lot of them. You got what happened last night in the other matches, and like I said, there weren't a whole lot of cup sets last night. Loudon up early, won 5-0. Cincinnati scored in the 85th to beat Lou City. Going to PKs, Inter Miami survived against the Miami FC. DC United won 1-0. Dynamo won 1-0 at Tampa. Neither of those games was televised in any way. Crew beat Indy 11 1-0. Birmingham and Chattanooga. Birmingham went to PKs and beat Chattanooga. I'm guessing that's the last time that match gets played in Tuscaloosa. Chicago Fire, no problem with Chicago House. Nashville scored 1. Rapids scored 3 and won 3-1. A game that was tied at 1-1. Mexico United won. Sacramento Republic won. But this is all USL championship on championship. Seattle and San Diego was the match of the night. It was crazy. 9 goals. Played the extra 30. Back and forth game all night. RSL beat Vegas, and that one took the extra 30. Scored 2 in the extra 30. And then Timbers beat Orange County. So not a whole lot of cup sets last night. Not a whole lot of cup sets in general. Coco's pulling for Memphis in Open Cup. Hope Goodrum can lead them far in the tourney. Abby looking at the former Atlanta United 2 players, Kisiadu, Goodrum, Luis Fernando. David says it was the second straight game he listened to because he couldn't watch much, but Mike Connie constantly saying pass, Atlanta turns it over. Need to either play quicker or safer and stop trying super passes all the time. Regain control occasionally, please. Coco, the possession and quality of possession was atrocious. Well, like I said, and Abby, in talking about Center F, it was, like I said, it was its own storyline. It was not necessarily contributing to the overarching storyline, but it was its own storyline. 4-card, Atlanta United supposed to bring me joy. Right now, it's not doing that. I needed better from everyone last night. David, Miguel, Etienne, and Luis not being more dangerous against the second league side is concerning. Tyler did the post game. It was Ronald and Tyler that did the post match opportunity. 5-stripe wanting to bench folks. Wiley on the left, Hernandez at right back, move Lennon up. 4-card reminded of Open Cup hero Brandon Vasquez. Charleston game in 2019. No one came to the rescue. And we welcome in Jared Smith. Jared, basically, I've just tried to let the first 35 minutes be folks just putting stuff in the Twitch pitch to get it off their chest.
Yeah, get it out of your system. Might as well. You were a victim of the magic of the cup.
Yes. So now that you've had 5 or 6 hours to think about it.
Yeah.
considering that I think we all ended up going to bed about 2 a.m.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So Memphis was better. I mean, Memphis was the better team out there last night.
Yeah, they wanted it. Players talked about it afterward. You talk about the effort and talk about like the fight, and it's an interesting thing because I was tweeting during the press conference, and I got like some stuff that comes back. I'm like, yeah, I agree. Some stuff comes back. I'm like, no. I guess I've had a couple of people, jump in about like it's the recurring thing. They don't have, they weren't ready for the fight. Like, no, they've been ready for the fight this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there were issues with that last year, they've been ready to go to war this year. This one just seemed like a game where I don't know if it's because they scored in the third minute and they thought maybe it was going to be a coasting experience.
Yeah.
Or what? But dude, they just after they got the goal in the third minute, it was just like it was like they put it in neutral and just started to coast a bit, and Memphis ramped up, and we see it all the time when somebody's protecting a lead late.
Yeah.
Or let's say, if someone has like a 2-0 lead and you give up that first goal, it's hard to kick it back into gear.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Atlanta got to a certain point in that first half and went, oh, Memphis wants to fight. We have to get it back in gear. And they were not able to all get it back in gear.
Right.
I don't know what led to that. But that's all. But, they came out of the blocks firing.
Mm-hmm.
First 5-10 minutes, they came out the blocks firing.
Yeah.
If Tyler Wolf doesn't slip,
yeah,
he might have a brace.
Yeah, and then I think I think
the game's over at that point.
The tech,
like you that would have been a kill shot.
Yeah,
it was just it was almost like they just kind of coasted after that. And Gonzalo Pineda, he talked about taking responsibility, especially for the rotations.
Yep.
Because you come out of the blocks firing, and I know it's easy to forget that. And genuinely, I'm not being facetious. Like, it is easy to forget that happened because you came out of the blocks, you go over the top, you score. You had a couple more moments where it was dangerous. You had a dangerous one in the box where it was almost comical from Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Those first 10 minutes, you thought like, oh, Jesus, how many are they going to put past them?
Yeah.
And I know it's hard to remember those moments because the rest of the game was very Memphis heavy.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, you came out of the blocks, looked to get a lead, and then kind of almost looked like you just took it for granted after that and then couldn't flip the switch back on.
Right.
Whereas every time Memphis got close, and Clement Diop was, man, we have to have a conversation about when Quentin Westberg comes back. Who starts if Westberg's healthy? Because Clement Diop is making it. This is man. It's Stanley Cup season. Let's have the conversation.
Yeah.
You ride the hot netminder.
Yeah.
And Clement Diop was hot last night.
Mm-hmm.
He was great in net. So I'm wondering, like, do you ride him going forward? Because it's a question you're gonna have to ask yourself. But Gonzalo Pineda took responsibility for the guys for the rotation.
Yeah.
And look, I mean, guys train. I know we were talking about this in the on the Discord. Guys train hard every day for practice, even if they're not. They're professionals. If they're not playing every game, if they're not playing 90 minutes, they still have to bust their ass because you don't know when that opportunity is going to come, and you have to take it. Some guys didn't take their opportunity last night. Some guys did. I thought Ron Hernandez was fine. Gonzalo Pineda pointed him out. I thought Johnny Fortune was okay, but Johnny Fortune worked his ass off for 120 minutes.
Yep.
I thought he was okay, but when you're not at your best, you got to bust it and put in that effort. I thought he did. I mean, he was out of position. He was late getting to stuff. He was out of position sometimes, but I thought he put in the work, which is what you have to do in those situations, especially when you're not having a great game. You have to work twice as hard. I need to see more from Derek Etienne because you're about to lose Caleb Wiley to the U20s.
Yep.
And Derek Etienne, you know what he's capable of. You've seen it at other clubs in MLS, and he hasn't shown it yet this year. You can take responsibility for the guys for the rotation, but when you get out on the field and you come out of the gate really well, score in the third minute, have a couple more dangerous chances, and then relax. Almost looked like you weren't ready for an actual fight. There's only, you can tell guys to fight all you want, but on the field, those are the guys that have to get it done. They're the ones that have to actually fight. In the same sense of, the late game, I know it's been a popular conversation piece that about giving up late goals, because you've done it a lot lately. I mean, you have done it a lot lately.
Yeah.
But some of it as well is individuals and those individual mistakes. And, you don't have a switch that you can flip from good to bad. You don't have a button. This isn't Buffalo Wild Wings where you flip a button and, man, we need 30 extra minutes. Hey, Wanho, I need you to make one of the dumbest challenges in the last calendar year.
Yeah.
You got it. Because I would imagine Gonzalo Pineda was irate because you took off a 17-year-old center back who was Kaylor might be Noah might be 18 now. 17 or 18-year-old center back.
Yeah.
To put in an older guy who's a veteran, who is one of your stable pieces. You took off the kid to put the veteran in to kind of, close the door. And he commits, which I mean, look, it's not like an egregious, like, red card caliber tackle. It's a stupid challenge, though, because it's in front of the attacker, who then sees a golden opportunity to, I'm just going to run into him and fall over.
Yep.
You don't give him that opportunity. You take off the kid to put on a veteran who just loses his mind in the last 20 seconds. And what you should have gotten out of there with a 1-0 win, where you sit there and go, wow, that wasn't great. That's a hell of a wake-up call. Yep. You have to start with intensity, and you have to maintain that intensity. And the question then becomes, do you have that conversation about the Chicago game as well? Is it a matter of, which I don't think intensity was the issue in Chicago so much as, to Michelle's point after the game, I thought they just got impatient. Like, Chicago kind of laid traps for them, like kind of setting that mid block, and would pick weird times to press and sometimes didn't, and would jump the passing lanes. And instead of taking their time, Atlanta was trying to force things and go quickly and then making sloppy passes, whereas this one just almost felt like they had the energy to start, and then they just didn't. I know it's, at least that's how I saw it, that they had energy to start, because I know it doesn't feel that way because so much of the game was so Memphis heavy.
Yeah.
But it felt like Atlanta had it at the start.
Yeah.
And then just didn't.
Yeah. Numbers on Noah, by the way. 80 minutes, 7 clearances by Noah Cobb, 1 block, 1 foul, 55 touches, 37 of 45, 82% passing on 55 touches, 3 long balls completed by Noah, but 7 clearances and a block by Noah Cobb last night. And you pull him out after 80 minutes to bring in a more experienced player to try to close the door. And you get that moment at 90 plus 5 from Philip Goodrum. Coco says that Cobb should be giving the harshest side eye to Porata after last night. Cobb played his ass off for the whole shift, deserved to stay in. Porata should no inkling he was the veteran in that situation. And Joe Boss, Cobb played well for a kid. But we've seen Noah Cobb play well for 3 years, Jarrett. I mean, from the time and I say 3, considering he's 18 now. We've seen him as like a 15-year-old going up against folks twice his age, and he has performed very, very well in USL Championship and in his time that we've seen him, with Atlanta United, whether it's with the twos and Next Pro or with the first team. We've seen Noah Cobb grow and not be intimidated at all by what he has been dealing with when it comes to the opposition.
I mean, the thing that's always gotten me about Cobb is he's very mature. Mm-hmm. Even God, who was the game against? Was it Birmingham, where like they just got pummeled last year, and he made like 2 almost cartoonishly bad mistakes. I think his like SOFA score was like 3.
Yeah.
In a game last year like that, but he's never let it bother him for more than that game. He's always been able to put it like to put it out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to have to do that for this weekend against Nashville. And look, this is going to be a different battle against Nashville, because what Chicago did not everyone's going to be able to do. They might take bits and pieces of it, but Chicago's not Chicago trying to like jump lanes and provide unique pressure. Like not everyone does that. This is kind of like it's not an apples for apples comparison, but it's like preparing to face TCU when Gary Patterson was there with that 3-2-5.
Yeah.
Where it's other teams might try and do something like it, but it's not the real McCoy, so to speak. And Nashville's going to sit deeper. Nashville's not going to treat you like Memphis did. Memphis brought the fight to you. Again, I screamed for a week plus. I screamed at the press box multiple times last night. Not screamed. I said, look, when Stephen Glass was at Aberdeen, his teams gave the Old Firm hell and put them in hell numerous times because they want to play against teams that want the ball and where they can pressure you and find space behind when you get forward and pass through you. Like what they were able to do, connecting passes, moving without the ball, is what they want to do. And it's tougher for them to do it against a team that bunkers. Atlanta's not going to bunker because all of Pineda's already talked about. I'm not going to tell my team to go do something that's counter to what we do. Like you're not just going to change your entire philosophy for one game, especially an Open Cup game. But again, this is, as is so often the case, like there are two teams, and this is the other thing, is there are two teams playing in a game. Like it's not just Atlanta and a computer. It's not FIFA. You have a team on the other side that has a philosophy. You have a team on the other side that has an idea what they want to do. And you have to consider that. And you give them credit because as much as Clement Diop was just absolutely like Bruno Lapa is probably waiting for him still to fight him because Bruno Lapa probably should have 2 goals in the first half.
Yeah.
And Clement Diop was absolutely outstanding. It's the thing though where you do have to give credit to Memphis for not being scared. Memphis rolled in. You punched them in the mouth early. They didn't flinch. They got in. They got up. They kept fighting and fighting and fighting. And every time they came close and didn't get in, it was like they pushed into another gear, and Atlanta didn't.
Yeah.
And the fact that Atlanta started out well and didn't leads me to think that he had him in the right mindset to start the game, and then there was a let-off. And you can't do it for them.
Right.
You can set them up, but you can't do it for them. And some guys got to take a long look in the mirror. One of those guys, I think, is Tyler Wolf, man. I mean, I know he had a goal last night, but Wolf looked gassed as the game went on. It looked like with a Johnny Fortune. Like when it's not your night, you have to work twice as hard. And I didn't feel like Wolf worked twice as hard, honestly. And aside from getting the goal, which was great, good for him, I felt like he didn't work hard enough off after those moments, like getting back, helping out, especially when Memphis is really leaning on you. It's going to be interesting to see who gets what in terms of minutes going forward, because you use these opportunities, and Pineda talked about it. Like it's not about rotating, and I'm glad he made a clarification this, because look, if this is the takeaway, I don't know what to do with people where you don't rotate. At least in Atlanta, you don't rotate out of disrespect, and you don't rotate out of not caring about the cup. You rotate to give guys an opportunity.
Yeah.
Pineda was pretty clear about that. Like it's not a matter of disrespect to Memphis. It's not a matter of we don't care about the cup. It's you want to give guys those opportunities with schedule compression.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys took advantage of them. Some guys did not.
Mm-hmm.
And if you didn't, well, now we get to see, who might be available for the next opportunities that come up.
Yep.
Because, whoo boy.
Yep.
Let's see who's available for the next ones. Because you do have Leagues Cup coming up. You're going to have more schedule compression.
Yeah.
And you can do one of two things about this. You can sulk about it, but as I have said many times, no one feels sorry for you. Because you don't feel sorry for anyone else. No one feels sorry for San Jose for losing their Open Cup game to a USL Championship side.
Yeah.
No one felt sorry for Minnesota last year when they lost to the Murder Owls. no one's going to feel sorry for you. So you can't feel sorry for yourself.
No. To your point, let me see. How many matches are there in May? You have 2, 4, 6 matches in May. And then you have 2 more in the 10 days after. So 2, 4, 6, 8 matches in a 6-week period from May the 6th to 34 days. So 8 matches in 34 days to get you to the international window in mid-June. So you're going to have folks that are going to have opportunities here because you go from the Charlotte match to the Colorado match on the 17th to playing in Chicago on the 20th. You go from the match in Orlando to coming home to play against New England at the end of May. Then you have to go to L.A. to play that one. So there's a lot of stuff going on when it comes to schedule compression. Our buddies from the USL Show coming in for their monthly visit, coming in a couple of minutes. Kaylor Hodges. He ain't wasting no time. Kaylor's already in the green room. So.
Yeah, and to Bernie's point, like I don't know what to do with Tyler Wolff right now, because after the Columbus game where he disappointed when he had to come on, I thought he was disappointing in that game, and then I thought he struggled after the goal. I thought he struggled last night. Like,
played the full 120, and what it does is it also
he did, but he's not going to play this weekend. But I mean,
no, and that's the thing is that you got Andrew Gutman, who came in and he played 60. Brooks Lennon played 60. Etienne played 50. Machope played 50. Parata played 40. You're looking at, Johnny Fortune played the full 120. Tyler played the full 120. Franco Ibarra played the full 120. So
he's played a lot. So, you're looking this weekend at Hasetu and Sosa in the midfield with Almada, which, Gonzalo Pineda talked about it afterward. You're protecting Almada. Didn't want to risk him out there.
Yeah.
He still apparently was not 100%. He wasn't 100% last weekend. You didn't want to risk him for the last 15 minutes of that game, so you save him and you play him this weekend, and you play him from the jump. And we don't know what Giacomakis is going to look like. It's just it's again, man. This is this thing that really pisses me off, though, because it's this thing where it's either great or bad, but almost like collectively we ignore the fact that another team takes part in the field. Same thing with Chicago. Because I lost track of how much stuff I saw about, Chicago's not good. Chicago is in the similar boat to Atlanta, where they just needed to finish games. They were having issues with that because Chicago's below the playoff line, I think, but they've lost twice this year. Yeah. 2 of their draws should be wins. And then they either should have won or drawn in Atlanta. Chicago has not been as bad as their record is, and sometimes I think it's just disrespectful to not acknowledge the fact that there is another team on the field that comes in with an idea and executes that idea. Now, if they come in and they don't do it, a la Portland, they didn't do it, and they're gonna feel bad about it. But you give credit to Memphis for coming in and punching you in the mouth.
Yeah,
and then you ask, why did we let up after scoring an early goal?
Yeah.
And by the way, a couple of great balls from Luis Araujo. It doesn't score, but it's a good little quick cross from I think it was Hernandez hit the long diagonal to Luis, and Luis puts a really good ball in for Tyler Wolff. Luis also put in a really good ball for Tyler Wolff on the one where he slipped. It could have made it 2-0.
True, he did.
Luis impacted the game. He didn't score, didn't really get much of a side of goal, but he helped create chances. It's almost like you just decided not to.
Yep. And since it's 10 o'clock and since it is the last Thursday of the month, it's time to bring in our buddies from the USL Show. And this go around once again, we return with Kaylor Hodges. We return with John Morrissey. And it's fun with USL. And I know that a lot of folks in USL are probably sitting there looking at what happened last night in Kennesaw and going, see. USL and USL Championship.
I want to know how emotionally crippled Kaylor is after the Chattanooga Birmingham game last night.
It's funny because I said in the middle of it, it was both teams playing really well. So it's not like I was upset the fact that it went to extra time against Chattanooga. Frankly, Chattanooga is way too good for NISA this year, and they're ridiculous. That was a lot emotionally for me. But you know what? Trevor Spangenberg is just a beast at saving PKs. It's just kind of what he does. And he's also in the form of his career. So I was weirdly confident going into PKs, which I don't think I've ever said in my life.
Yeah, we were sitting there like keeping up with the PK shootouts there in Miami, with the Miami FC.
The Miami FC.
Just because I was trying to explain to people in the press box that, first of all, Chattanooga and Birmingham's a rock fight, in the same sense that I was trying to explain to them that Cincinnati and Louisville is a rock fight. Like, that is just two people bare knuckle brawling on the ground, and you're lucky no one died.
Mm-hmm. That is true. So let me ask you this. So since you asked Kaylor, it's my turn to ask Morrissey a question. So when you look at how much of a swivel was your head on, John, when you're looking at all of these matches with all the USL Championship teams playing other divisions, USLC on USLC crime that happened in the last 2 days? How many monitors did you have going at once with all the USLC activity?
Well, I have to tell you, whenever I see one of those matchups that's like New Mexico, Phoenix, or Sacramento, Oakland, there's not a prayer I'm watching that. I'm going to get that in 2 weeks in the league. It's so much more interesting when you've got something like a Memphis, Atlanta, or even that Chicago House, Chicago Fire game until it got ugly. I like to see the diversity of matchups a bit, but that doesn't mean I'm not just full whiplash the whole time that these matches are going on.
Yep. And then you also made the point that that sometimes when you're watching games, that there's still production value that needs to be addressed. It's on Morrissey's Twitter at USL Tactics, by the way. The 9-second screen cap of the Fun House at Segra with Flower City and Loudon, and I really don't know how else to describe it. Could you, John, try to explain what that was that was on camera for a while? I mean, it almost looked like a Funhouse boomerang 2-camera dissolve mirror kind of a thing.
Yeah, so to the best of my ability, it looked like you had one camera on the left side of the pitch that was probably at a 30 to 45 degree angle, so that was bad to begin with. And then you've got another camera doing the same thing on the other half of the field, and you've split the screen halfway between the two feeds. They don't match up well, so like if someone's standing at the halfway line, they're on both sides of the screen at once.
Wow.
It was a little bit bizarre, but magic of the Open Cup, I guess.
The thing is that I've never had an issue with Loudon's camera work. They were one of the few stadiums that I was like actually really happy. I don't know why they got experimental for no reason.
I mean, it was. Let's just say it was interesting when John posted that to his Twitter, when we're talking about the magic of the Open Cup and having these kinds of moments. And to Coco's
did you see that the U.S. Open Cup doesn't know what geography is?
Shock and awe! I can't believe that.
Philadelphia is grouped with Chicago Fire, Minnesota, and St. Louis. This is the same people, I think, who put the Atlanta Falcons in the West.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the thing that I don't think they've ever explicitly said after the third round that it's geography based. They try, but I don't think they've ever promised. I don't think it's actually written in the rules that they say we will make this as geographical.
Hey,
possible.
That's true.
We're making new words.
That's a great word, Kaylor. It's a fantastic word. It is geographical. It is the magic of the Open Cup because you try to be geographical about it, and you end up with, yes, geography is involved. It just happens to deal with hundreds of miles and plane rides and things like that. No, I think you're spot on. I think you're right there. Jarrett, pick a partner. Who are you tagging in with your next thought?
Oh my God. Good Lord. Okay. Let's go. I'll actually open this up to both of you. What the hell happened with Seattle in the Open Cup last night?
I'll go ahead and just step in a little bit. I mean, I think you saw the effect of that was a very young Seattle Sounders team. Like it was a mix of guys that I associate with like the Tacoma Defiance more than Seattle in a lot of ways. And San Diego brought out probably an A- team. Joe Corona had 2 goals, obviously. And this is a good San Diego loyal. They have a very distinct style. They've got a very good manager who knows how to tackle an opponent. They did have a game on Sunday, so that's short rest for them. And to go and do what they did was impressive. But I am going to chalk it up mostly to the fact that Seattle maybe came in a little bit too confident that they could get it done with some of the rotation guys.
All right, Kaylor. So, biggest storyline involving a USL Championship team or several storylines when it comes to this particular round of Open Cup would be what in your mind?
For me, John knows this. I've been highly obsessed with Monterey Bay, and for them to get the 1-0 victory over
As
San
you
Jose.
say it to Jarrett, who is our resident Quakes fan.
I had a bad week, y'all.
I've been massively obsessed with Monterey Bay this year, just the way they play. I mean, John has posted the graphics several times. Have you seen the graphics of like the Tampa Bay Rays just being so much better than everybody else? This is Monterey Bay season, that their conversion rate's like 30, like 30%, and it's ridiculous. And on top of that, they've had kind of poor goalkeeping performances, but they also just continue to make every shot. And then against San Jose, they kind of figure it out while also taking advantage of one of their few chances, keeping that conversion rate as high as possible. It was really fun to watch them. And I said it preseason, I'm still going to stay with it. Monterey Bay is still my sneaky dark horse for the USL Cup. And I don't know how much farther it's going to take them in the U.S. Open Cup, but I mean, if they can keep a 30% conversion rate, they're going to give it to someone.
Well, just to jump in real quick on that Monterey point, when they were bad to start last season as an expansion team, and when they finally found their footing, it was very much a defense-first sort of thing, and they looked like they rediscovered that aspect of their game against San Jose. I think the other fun storyline with that one was the revenge of Frank Gallup getting the win against the Earthquakes. So plenty to like with that Monterey San Jose game.
And I know that we've got groups and things coming out when it comes to the next rounds and next stages. We talk about storylines in Monterey Bay. Biggest disappointment from USL Championship. John, we'll start with you. Biggest disappointment in this tournament so far to date. You can take any rounds up to this point, since we're talking Open Cup in general. Who's been the biggest disappointment for you from the USL Championship in this tournament?
I think 2 things pop to mind. Certainly in the last round for FC Tulsa to roll out a lineup with 5 or 6 teenagers and get upset by Tulsa Athletic on one of the worst looking pitches you're ever going to see.
Fantastic pitch.
Oh, and you know what? That was the game where whoever was on the camera was putting their hand in front of the upper part to block out the sun so there wasn't glare.
That's what you have interns for.
Right. But I think in terms of a result that really stung, it's got to be Louisville dropping it to Cincinnati last night, because they were taking it to them for so much of that game. I would say they had the better chances, especially in that second half when they brought on Wilson Harris, brought on Ray Serrano. And then Cincinnati gets this really crushing late goal in what was one of the best rivalry matchups in USL history when they were facing off in the league. So Louisville can hold their head high based on how they played, but that one really stings because that was a team that felt like they could make a run in this tournament.
Kaylor, what about you? Biggest disappointments?
Can I throw out one that's not the championship?
Sure.
Ford Madison losing to House is shocking. Ford Madison has the best defense, the best back line in all of League One. And they just kind of roll it out there. Same thing. They just kind of rotated the team and they just assumed that it would work against, this is a house squad that kept a lot of their NISA players. They didn't lose a whole lot of them. So they were essentially going against a third division or, a fourth division plus a third division minus. And then they rolled out a fourth division minus squad. And it's like, why aren't you taking this seriously? You saw what Union Omaha did last year, and you saw what Tormenta did for a little bit last year. You take it seriously, especially since there's a 3-way tie for the third division this year. Imagine if they could have just gotten that to play against Chicago Fire, because if they would have, honestly, for the little bit that House was keeping it even, I think a full strength Madison at least keeps it close for the first half. And after that, who knows what happens.
So does that mean that each team gets $8,300? Is that how that plays?
And 33 cents. Once somebody has to eat the penny.
Okay. I think the league eats the penny.
It's adjusted for inflation, John.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to your point, you talk about Tormenta last year. They should have beat Inter Miami. Drake Callender stood on his head in that game. It should have been 3-0 Tormenta at halftime of that game. And especially to your point, like you see what Union Omaha did. You saw what Sacramento did last year, getting to the final. And so many of these teams have, especially now, the talent to go out there and punch someone in the face. Mm-hmm. Go do it.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to seeing who gets to punch folks in the face from the lower divisions as we go in Open Cup. John Morrissey at USL Tactics and at Kaylor Hodges with at the USL Show hanging out with us, as they always do here, the last Thursday of the month, where they give their breakdown of everything USL here on SDH. Guys, what I like to do with other guests is it's almost like playing cliffhanger on The Price is Right, but we call it red light, yellow light, green light. Like, you wander up to that 4-way stop. There's actually a stoplight there. You have to pay attention to the stoplight, and you go, okay, red light, yellow light, green light. We know what it means to go through that intersection. So my next question for both of you, and it's going to be fairly simple. When it comes to USL Championship, and you can take it to include Open Cup play or not, what is the team that you have a red light on? What is the team that you have a yellow light on? Basically, you're kind of sitting there going, I don't know. Could go either way. And what team do you have a green light on? Morrissey, let's start with you. What direction do you want to go first? Do you want to start with your green light, or do you want to start with your red light? Do you want to go optimism or pessimism? How do you want to start?
I'd love to start with a green light, because that was the one that really inspired me here. And I'm going to go green light with El Paso Locomotive in the Western Conference.
Wow.
This is a team that lost in the last round, wasn't even playing last night in the Open. But in terms of the league, they've won 3 out of their last 4. All of the new signings that they brought in, their new manager, the manager first and foremost, Brian Clairhout, is looking very astute in what he's doing with these mid-game adjustments to kind of take it to whatever opposition he's facing. He brought in a lot of players who didn't have USL experience. I'm thinking about Denis Kostyshin from the Ukrainian league, Mark Navarro, who has played games in La Liga but is really often injured. And every one of these players is hitting in a way that it took a couple weeks. El Paso lost their first 3 games of the year, but now that they're finding their form, they really look like a force to be reckoned with in the West.
Kaylor Hodges, green light.
This one feels layup. Sacramento, they're just so good. It's gross. They've only allowed 1 goal in league play. And then if you include the Open Cup, it looks a little worse. They've, allowed 4 goals, I think, in the Open Cup, but that all came in one match where it was just weird Bizarro land. I mean, they're just so ridiculously good with a top-tier striker in Russell Cicerone and one of the best back lines I've seen in a little bit. I say that like San Antonio didn't exist last year, but, I mean, comparable, which I didn't think I would say.
Yellow light. Kaylor, since John started with the green light, Kaylor, what's your yellow light? And what I mean by this is there a team that you can kind of go either way on? Who's kind of sitting there and wobbling right now and, maybe needs a pit stop to try to figure something out?
I want to go with Oakland.
Okay.
Oakland has right now the best keeper in the league with Blanchett, and he's really carrying that squad right now, and the rest of the team is looking okay. Mm-hmm. They are getting results from time to time, but they are still looking for a bona fide goal scorer and a real threat in the midfield. And I think that if they can find someone to click mid-season, they can be a real contender. But right now, I'm not quite there yet.
Yellow light, Morrissey, who do you have?
Yeah, I mean, after last night, I think I got to go with Memphis 901. They started horrendously this year, but they've not lost in 3 in the league. I think getting Philip Goodrum a goal last night, getting the momentum of upsetting an MLS team, a Southern rival, is going to be a big deal for them. Watching that Tyler Wolff goal, seeing some of the moments in the game, I'm not sold on what they're doing defensively. But if they can keep up what they were doing for a lot of that match, I think that they're going to be right back where they were last season.
Red light, Morrissey, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to point to my Indy 11 here. I'm born and raised in Indianapolis. I've got a soft spot for the team. They look like a disaster right now. 3 straight losses in the league. They can hardly score a goal. Last night against Columbus, they dropped the game in Columbus. They were trying a new sort of man-marking thing in the midfield that was pretty disastrous. No matter what they're throwing at the wall, it's not working. So red for a team with a red logo.
Red, Kaylor, who do you have?
This is going to seem like a really hot take after last night's victory, but I am all the way out on New Mexico right now. If they keep starting Tim Bacchus in goal and not starting Ford Parker, it's almost reaching the point of Hartford level with Richard Sanchez, where I feel like they're actively trying to lose games by starting him. And, Santi Moar and Hurst are really good players, obviously, but they haven't done anything to really give them a chance to succeed. And as long as they keep starting Tim Bacchus, I'm just all the way out on New Mexico.
That is your
Atlanta United legend, Alex Tim Bacchus.
That is absolutely true.
He's the first ever signing for Atlanta United.
Uh-huh. And
only played 1 game, and it was a game against Minnesota in 2017 where Brad Guzan was away on international duty. Alec Can was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Reynes started and got sent off on just a really dumb tackle. And then Alex Tim Bacchus had to play down a man, and Minnesota scored 2 goals in like 8 minutes of stoppage time to win the game. It's the only time he played for the first team.
That is true. That is absolutely true. And folks in the Twitch pitch actually remember Atlanta United hero Alex Tim Bacchus. Jared, what's on your mind on the Fatal 4-Way?
Yeah, I mean, it's I know you because I was going to ask you about New Mexico, and just what the hell they're doing. Feels like a very fair question. I guess, like, as far as the teams in this cup who you're like looking at as being, aside from Sacramento, who we would I assume would always already be in that conversation of teams to make a deep run. For those who aren't watching USL Championship, who should they be tuning in for US Open Cup to look for a cup set?
I mean, I know Kaylor just mentioned them. It's kind of the obvious pick because they were finalists last season, but it's got to be the Sacramento Republic.
But is that a cup set, though?
I think every time a USL team wins, it is. Maybe.
Yeah.
When
a lower division team wins, it's a cup set.
All right.
It is a cop out, but
all right.
Oh no, I think and I'm happy to have that. I'm happy to have that part of it too. Like, I mean, you can call it a cop out if you want to, but it's not Sacramento's fault. They've got a good system going.
It's the way that they can sit back, bunker down within their own half, and defend just so effectively, so efficiently. They never feel like they're in danger, even if they've got 30% possession across the whole match. And within the USL this season, they've really shown some growth as a team that can dominate the ball and beat you by outscoring you. But that defense is their identity, and it's the reason they made the final last season. So combining those two effects, I think they've got a really good shot to make another run this year.
All right,
I think a team that I got to see firsthand, and they are a wild experience, and that's Loudoun United. I know they went against Flower City, who's not good this year, but the Loudoun United experience is insane, considering the fact, and I've talked about this a lot, they only have 5 people on the team older than me. I'm 23.
Okay.
And they shoot so much. They get a sliver of goal, a sliver of opening, and they just shoot. They are a wild experience because you expect them to try to take a touch to get a little bit closer to goal or to create a bigger opening. They don't care. And I think I said this on the last USL show. They're young and dumb enough to not care. They will go into these big crowds. They will go into these places and just not be afraid because that part of their brain has not developed. And like they are a wild experience. And if it's the first time you're playing them, which for every MLS team, it will be,
Yeah.
I think they are going to be a hard out and will catch a lot of teams off guard.
Yeah, like so I remember I watched the first game they had this year against Memphis and thinking like, Memphis after last year, I know they had some changes. John, we talked about it last time you were on about all the changes that went on in Memphis. But Loudoun rolled in there and just took a dead fish and started beating them over the head with it. It was wild. But to Kaylor's point, like it reminds me of like kind of like Christos, and I think it was 2017 or 18.
Yeah.
Christos was too dumb to care.
Yeah.
They were too dumb to be afraid.
Question from our viewer in Australia, Bam, who is an LAFC fan. What USL Championship team should he be watching from Australia? So basically, if you're new to this whole thing, I know, Kaylor, you've suggested Loudoun, being young and dumb. I know, John, you've suggested Sacramento because, of what they've done in Open Cup. For Bam, when he sets his VPNs in Australia, who should he be watching in USL Championship?
Well, I do need to give a quick shout again to Loudoun because their breakout star this year, Panos Samarakis, is Australian. He's the guy who's driving all this. Yeah. Boy, off the top of my head, and just to make another Australia connection, I know Liam Rose with El Paso is from Australia, and I think he, unlike Armanakis, played in the A-League or a similar setup there. So those are 2 teams that play very exciting offense-first styles of soccer that I think would be fun. If you're in it for just like up and down, exciting action, San Diego Loyola are a really good shout as well. They play an insanely high press. Their goalkeeper is willing to just stand outside of the box and possess with the ball at his feet all of the time.
And his name is Koke Vegas.
There you go. Yeah, Koke Vegas is amazing, right? They also have some New Zealand connections with Kyle Adams and Elliot Collier in the squad. So I know I'm keeping it Anzac there. So that would be my pitch.
Nothing wrong with that. That's because right now it is, I think Bam is 14 hours ahead of us. So he's actually watching us before he goes to bed. And so this is like Friday. I think this is this Thursday? 12. Okay. So 12:25 in the morning on Friday. So Bam's watching us before he goes to bed every single night. So he gets full credit for putting up with us as much as he does. 5-minute warning. Kaylor, who is your league MVP right now? Obviously, this will change month to month. Who's your league MVP right now and why?
Man, there's a lot of really good ones this year. Just because of how freaking valuable he is to his team. I'm going to Blanchett again. I'm a big USL Western Conference guy today, apparently.
Nothing wrong with it.
Blanchett is single-handedly keeping the Roots alive, and there's no one more valuable to their team this year than him.
So Blanchett is their miracle grow. I get it. Morrissey, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to throw out two names here because I can't decide on anything. One would have to be Alex Dixon. He's leading the Golden Boot race for Monterey Bay. He's the signing of the offseason without a doubt. I think my my pick for the deep cut here would be Luis Felipe with Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some volume goal scorers. Their defense stands out. His play in the central midfield, his ability to make those late runs into the box, but also track back when they need to recover on the counter is immense. I think he's the unsung hero. He's a guy with some MLS experience in San Jose, but he's really the bedrock of what the Republic have done this year.
Jarrett, what else is on your mind?
Well, I was looking up to see where Rose had played, because if he had played at South Melbourne, everything was going to make more sense, because South Melbourne had Ferenc Puskás, the Hungarian legend, coached South Melbourne for a while and kind of had them back in the early 90s playing almost a suicidal style. So I was wondering, if he came from there, everything makes more sense. Rose did not play for them. Played for Sydney United 58, MacArthur FC.
There you go.
Anyway, digress.
King of the sidebar.
Yeah, dude. It's always a sidebar.
See, that never happens on this show.
Jesus. No, it doesn't. Like, I guess looking around at the rest of the Eastern, I guess we'll stick in the Eastern Conference looking with it. Let's look at the top, and I mean, is it just as simple as I think last time y'all were here we talked about what Pierman's done in Charleston. Is it just as simple as they're just going to keep plugging along until someone punches them in the mouth, or are they just is that it?
Is Charleston for real?
I think so, but there's hints of their back line being really shaky that give me a little bit of hesitancy to think that they might finish in first this year. Okay. But they're absolutely going to be up there for the USL Cup. I think they're going to be real deal contenders. Whether they'll finish first or not, I'm not sure. But they have all the attack you could ever want. They don't have to really worry about their back line too often because of just the way they press and just the way that they kind of stick with the, if they don't have the ball, they can't score the ball. Well, that's not true. They did have one of the worst own goals I've ever seen a couple weeks ago. But I think they're legit, but I don't know if they'll finish first.
Morrissey, what's going on in Tampa?
Yeah, they started the year with Leo Fernandez, the reigning MVP, getting injured. Lewis Hilton, very important central midfield player, has missed some time. They've had a really dumb and bad experiment with a 4-4-2 when their identity is based around that back three and always has been. I think in terms of the form, they're picking up a bit, even if the results aren't quite there yet. There's too much talent for me to be out on this team, but they're going to need to hit the ground running pretty quickly, given that we're rapidly approaching the quarter mark of the year in the USL. What
he said. Gentlemen, as always, it's great to have you on. It's at Kaylor Hodges, Kaylor, Kaylor, Hodges, Hodges, and at USL Tactics, and at the USL in big letters show. At Kaylor Hodges, at USL Tactics, at the USL Show. As always, hanging out with us to begin hour number 2 for the last Thursday of the month. Guys, when does the next show come out?
Next Tuesday. And we have our kit show that should be dropping tomorrow.
Ooh, kit show. We always like kits. So, guys, as always, thanks for hanging out with us and playing our silly games and answering our silly questions when it comes to everything USL Championship. We will catch up with you again next month. Don't ever be afraid to crash the party. It's always great to have you guys here. Thanks for hanging out with us here on SDH.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
That's it.
Take care, y'all.
That's it for Morrissey and Hodges. They get to hang out with us, and then they sit there and they wonder why they get to hang out with us, because they go, dude, those guys are nuts.
Also, Jerry Springer died.
I know. That's disappointing.
Wild times.
I mean, that's just That's sad. That stinks.
Bam hates South Melbourne. Yes. Hell yeah. Let's get some hatred in here.
There we go. By the way, while we were talking USL, we have start times for the tournament. We have start times for stuff when it comes to Atlanta United and the kickoff times for Leagues Cup. Kickoff times for all group stage matches were announced. Atlanta United will begin the competition on the road at DRVP&K. Maybe they will have scored by July 25th. I don't know. July 25th, 7:30 on Season Pass. Atlanta United at Inter Miami. Then Cruz Azul is at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's Saturday night, July 29th at 8 Eastern on MLS Season Pass in Unimas. All Leagues Cup games will have an official start time between 7 p.m. and 10:30. From the release, 100 countries and regions able to watch all 77 matches on the Season Pass and the Apple TV app, subscription service, web, tvapple.apple.com. Televisa, Univision, Fox, TSN, and RDS, your linear partners for 15 group stage matches in the U.S. and Canada. And so full pause, once again, MLS and Liga MX, 47 clubs competing from July 21st to August 19th. Champion and the second and third place finishers qualify for Champions League and have an opportunity to earn a spot in the FIFA Club World Cup. Group stage kicks off Friday, July 21st at 7:30. Orlando City, the purple team facing Houston Dynamo at Exploria, followed by Cruz Azul against Inter Miami at DRVP&K. Opening night also has FC Dallas and Charlotte at Toyota Stadium in Dallas, suburban Dallas. Austin faces Mazatlan FC at Q2. Leon takes on the Whitecaps at BC Place at 10:30. So that's your schedule release for your home dates when it comes to setting your schedule appropriately. And that's where we are. Beto, thank you. I mean, it's fun to be able to catch up with John and with Kaylor and talk about USL Championship, a little USL League One, because we have our weekly programming where we go over the week that was and preview the week that will be with highlights and standings and such. But it's also good to catch up with them about everything going on in the league.
Especially now that Atlanta United too was for a lot of us a connection to USL. Mm-hmm. Because aside from MLS, like, you had them playing in that league, but now that they're not, it's nice to be able to talk to them and connect to not just USL Championship, but USL League One. This is a very pro Tormenta group that exists talking right now.
No doubt.
But being able to connect with that and still keep a finger on the pulse, so that you can, for the same reason that we talk about, like, kind of a running joke of like, hey, come watch the twos, so that when some kid makes it, you can be the hipster that tells your friends, oh yeah, I saw them then.
Yep.
In the same sense that when a Sacramento Republic makes a run in the Cup, or when the Hailstorm did it, or the Murder Owls did it with Union Omaha last year, you could say, oh yeah, I've seen them play. Yeah, I knew they were good.
Yeah, I knew they were good. I knew what
it helps.
Yeah, I knew what they were.
Be as obnoxious as possible to your friends about this.
Absolutely.
Also, Coco, Arsenal are not the Mets, because the Arsenal actually has hardware in the last 50, 60 years.
Oh, yes. And since we are now in the final half hour of the show,
they might have hardware if Chase Utley had not tried to kill them in the NLCS that one year against the Royals.
But I think,
but before they faced the Royals.
Yeah, and so I don't know how Bart is doing this morning on multiple fronts.
All I need to know from Bart is what he said yesterday, which is this game shouldn't have mattered because the last three games. If Arsenal takes care of business the last three games, this game would not have mattered.
Yeah.
But it did.
Yeah. So, I mean, yesterday it wasn't that close with Manchester City. It was not that close. It was 1-0 after 7 minutes You probably should have had a penalty call on the De Bruyne tackle inside the 18. Should have probably been 2, if not more, before the Stones goal just before the half that went to a VAR review, video assistant referee VAR review. Okay, just making sure I wasn't redundant. Stones goal made it 2. Had a third that made it a 3-goal margin. Arsenal scores an, oh, by the way, Rob Holding, who had one of the worst days you could have as a defender. Actually, now that I mentioned Rob Holding, I want to see what his numbers were yesterday in that match, because he had a rough day yesterday. Erling Haaland punched an 8.7, by the way, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore. De Bruyne had a 9.3. Rob Holding, oh, wow, he wasn't the worst. Okay. Gabriel and Ben White were the 2 worst, and the only reason that Holding punched a 7 was probably because he scored. Gabriel punched a 5.9. This is the back line for Arsenal, according to SofaScore. Zinchenko a 6.2. Gabriel a 5.9. Holding, because he scored, punched a 7. Ben White a 5.7. That's your back line for Arsenal against Manchester City yesterday. Grealish a 7.2. Haaland an 8.7. Gundogan north of 7. Everybody else in the 6s. John Stones with a goal had a 7.5. So, yeah. That's what that's what you got to face yesterday. That was your numbers. That was your numbers when it came to our friends at SofaScore. So it was a long day for Arsenal. It was a long day. Long day. Nottingham.
Well, I mean, two parts point from yesterday. Yeah. Arsenal bottled it last 3 games before this, man.
True. That is absolutely true.
If you take care of business, you don't have to play in a must-win game against a Manchester City team that is operating like the Terminator.
Yeah. No, you don't. No, you absolutely don't. And you absolutely do not have to worry about this one, considering that so you blew a 2-goal lead against Liverpool, blew a 2-goal lead against West Ham, drew Southampton. You take care of business in one of those, you're probably not having this discussion. 2-2 draw with Liverpool, 2-2 draw with West Ham, 3-3 draw with Southampton before you lose yesterday. Manchester City has given up 29 goals in 31 matches in the Premier League this year. They have a goal difference of plus 53 because you have the Terminator up top. 2 points back, 2 matches in hand. You've got a 2-match week coming up where you make up one of those. And your week next week, by the way, and because the midweek snuck up on me, guess who I had in my fantasy team but didn't start him? That'd be Erling Haaland. Thank you.
It's your own misfortune. Why would you not start Erling Haaland?
Because I got caught up. You can't make adjustments as soon as the playing week starts. You can't make your adjustments in your starting team. So basically,
no. Here's my question: Why is he not written in Sharpie?
Because they were off last weekend because of the FA Cup semi. So I didn't start him then, and I pulled him out of the lineup because there's no points. So, because Coco, they weren't playing; they were in the FA Cup semi last weekend. So I wanted to start somebody off my bench so I could get points. So I had him on my bench, and because the matches started Tuesday, I forgot to put him back in as my starting guy. And so I don't get his points.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was because of me not putting him in, and I didn't start David Raya either, who got a 9-point win in the shutout yesterday with Brentford. So, and I started Gabriel and Ben White, by the way, as my backline in that match against Manchester City. So they both gave me donuts. Donuts, I say. Yeah, so this is what I was faced with. So yeah, yesterday big win for Nottingham Forest, 3-1 over Brighton. Brentford shuts out Chelsea. Chelsea's in serious trouble. And Pochettino gets to really make a case now about getting paid. I think it's they're 5 for their last 5 of not winning something. Liverpool came back to beat West Ham 2-1. And right now, the bottom of the table is where the fun starts. Southampton, 6 points from safety with 6 to go. Everton is at 28. Sorry, Tom. And Leicester is now in the relegation fight. Sorry, Knicks. They're all below the relegation line. Nottingham Forest with the win is out of the relegation zone. They've still got some work to do because they're way behind Leeds on goal difference. If Bournemouth beats Southampton this weekend, or actually today at 2:45, they'll be at 36 points, and I think it's safe to say that they're probably clear in Bill Foley's investment instead of buying an MLS team from scratch and having to build his own barn. Dropping 150 as opposed to 800, probably paying off. Group 3 is still, you've got, 4 teams above the relegation line, 5 points clear. West Ham at 34, Bournemouth 33, Leeds and Nottingham Forest each at 30. So it's going to be a race to get in. Arsenal, they're in trouble. They're up 2 points with 2 matches more played than Manchester City. Newcastle's only played 31. So they've got some stuff to do. Manchester United still's played 30. Villa's played 33 matches. So they've only got 5 matches to go. Liverpool's got 6 to go. Brighton's only played 30. So they've got some fun that they can do. But, today, as opposed to tonight, it is Everton Newcastle at 2:45. That one is on USA and Universo. The other 2, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Spurs and Manchester United, they're on Peacock. How many of you actually went to Peacock yesterday to watch this match?
I did.
I mean,
because I was working, I just kind of had it up on my desk while I was working. So
yeah,
that's just me. But I turned it off at halftime because I was kind of felt bad watching a murder happen.
It's like I can't watch this murder.
I don't want to be an accessory to this.
No, you're
That's
like
where I was.
You're like Duke and Rocky IV. Throw the damn towel. And so who had a worse day? I think isn't it Thomas Partey who had the worst day because he didn't score? I mean, Rob Holding scored. Partey had a 6.7 on SofaScore, 90 minutes, an XG of 0.1, 57 touches, 38 of 40 in his passes, two long balls, 7 of 12 on his ground duels, 1 for 1 in the air, so 8 of 13 on his duels. 3 fouls, 1 clearance, 2 tackles, and a dribble. So if that was Thomas Partey, then let's go and see what Rob Holding's day was, even with the goal. Rob Holding had the highest rated play. He was the highest rated player on SofaScore because he scored. 2 clearances, 1 block, 1 pick, 2 tackles, 1 last man tackle, 3 of 8 on duels. Lost possession 7 times, 2 fouls, 91% passing on 89 touches, 2 long balls. Kind of a wash. So let's just say choice D, all the above. Hutcho. Imagine having to focus on Haaland and having to back off to Bruno Grealish and company. Yeah. And Haaland. Yeah, this is the fun one. Hutcho. Haaland alone has more goals than 7 different EPL teams. 7 teams have not scored as many goals as Erling Haaland has.
And this is the thing, man. Like, because when we talk about EPL, like, I know it's a common thing to want to talk about, like, it's as amazing as it is. Like the top of EPL is always amazing. Mm-hmm. But
true,
we got to talk about the fact that the EPL basement is a basement.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Like, the teams at the bottom of EPL are a lot of times not good.
No, I mean they're part of that 20 to 30 group, the yo-yo group.
Yeah.
So let's see.
And because you could talk about there was that year in 2018, Joseph was outscoring, I think it was Colorado.
Yeah.
For a chunk of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But man, I mean, EPL is as great as the top of EPL is. It's not nearly as it's not nearly as balanced as other leagues are, and it's something I think that it's kind of like washed away in the conversation.
Oh, no question. And to the point, Chelsea has scored 30, Palace 31, Wolves 29, even without Nuno, Bournemouth 31, Forest 29, Everton 24, Southampton 27. That's how many goals those folks have scored. Erling Haaland has scored more than all of them. All of them, I say. That's what you're staring at with Erling Haaland. Coco, this was the culmination and crowning of the bottle job. It's been coming, but yesterday was the fork in the bird to show it's done.
Man, but what if
yeah, what if?
What if City bottles next?
I don't think Pep will allow
What
it.
if it becomes a bottle off?
Oh, God.
What if City bottles the next one?
Oh, I don't.
And then Arsenal bottles. And it's just bottles all the way down, man.
Well, and this is a question that was raised. So Frank Lampard's going to stay for the remainder of the season. He has yet to win a match. He has yet to win a match since he has been back.
I mean, that's a really unnecessary threat to those poor fans. They don't deserve that.
Yeah. I mean, and this is a question that was posed this morning. Is Frank Lampard in danger of damaging his managerial credentials because of what he is not doing at Chelsea right now? Is he damaging his long-term managing ideas, his job futures, because of what isn't happening?
Well, here's the thing: is I'd be interested in knowing opinions of other people who follow EPL more consistently than I do, which is basically everyone. Is the Chelsea situation so toxic and bad that you give almost any manager a pass? Like that's my my question about it is like, is it so bad that you're willing to give lots of managers a pass? So it's like, hey man, is he good? I don't know. He might be, he might not be, but deciding he's good or bad based on what happened at Chelsea is a hell of a decision.
Yeah. So here's Chelsea, and Michael Head could probably cover his ears for this. Chelsea are winless in their last 8 in all comps, losing the last 5 in a row. Last had a longer winless run between October and December of 1993. A run of 6 straight defeats the last time they lost 5 or more consecutively. They've scored just 30 goals in the Premier League this season, lowest after 32 matches of a league campaign since 1923-24. When they had 17, like 100 years ago. 30 goals have been netted by 14 different players. Frank Lampard has lost all 3 of his Premier League matches in charge of Chelsea since his return, including his time with Everton. He's lost 9 of his last 10 league matches, including the last 6. Indeed, since he joined the Toffees in February of 2022, no manager has lost more Premier League matches than Frank Lampard at 24. Chelsea have failed to win in 5 consecutive Premier League home matches for the first time since May of 2016. Meanwhile, Chelsea have lost more than 5 home league matches in a single season for the first time since 1994-95 when they lost 7. Chelsea have failed to score at home for the 7th time in the Premier League this season. They're outright most in a single campaign in the competition. That's
Seems
what
bad.
you're staring at. That's what you're staring at right now with Chelsea.
Seems bad. They should try doing not that.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't know if they've tried. I don't know if they've considered try doing not that.
Yes.
But they should try doing not that.
I think not that would be a great idea.
Or Chelsea should hire Neil Lennon. I think they should hire Neil Lennon. That's the way forward.
See, now
the way forward is backwards.
Why? So they go back so far they're in front of themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically we're doing horseshoe theory.
Okay.
We go so regressive and just dumb that it goes all the way back around to being brilliant.
Okay.
To a full horseshoe.
Let's see. let's see. So Hutcho, to Hutcho's question, is there too much stratification of talent in the EPL? And to Coco's point, there's a real possibility Chelsea get passed by Palace and Wolves, which is hilarious. And you know who's managing Crystal Palace right now? 75-year-old Roy Hodgson, who got called on the phone after his wife said after last season that he's done. He's not done. He asked his wife for permission to go back. He is the caretaker manager for Palace for the remainder of this year. At the age of 75, everybody, including myself, wondered why you fired Patrick Vieira to begin with.
Because
to bring back Roy Hodgson.
Because Roy Hodgson might get you above Chelsea.
Yeah.
But it might have more to do with the fact that Chelsea's a tire fire than it does necessarily with Roy Hodgson being amazing.
Yeah. And apparently, Steve Parrish wants to pay Wilf Zaha $200,000 a week to stay because his deal is up. Wilf Zaha has wanted to go forever, and right now he's getting paid $130. Steve Parrish apparently is like, dude, if I pay you $200, will you stay? Apparently, if there are assurances that Palace will invest in players to make Wilf Zaha happy, tell me if you've heard that before. So, I mean, yeah, it is a mess. Coco, we'll be watching Newcastle today as Coco wraps up the work week. How soon will Wrexham be competing to get into EPL? I think Wrexham's ceiling is the championship. I think next year, and they've already started talking about a level of investment and things like that. I think next year they could probably qualify out of League 2 to go to League 1. Because
just don't get relegated year one. That's where my brain's at. Like, and not to say that they're bad or anything, but like you just got into League 2. Like, just don't get relegated after year one. If you don't go immediately up to League 1, okay, just don't get relegated in year one.
No, and I think Coco, I think you're spot on. I think championship will be where they hit a wall, and then you have to figure out what you are. I know that they said it could be 10 years before they could be in the Premier League, but do you spend that kind of money to get them to the Premier League and then be one of those 20 to 30s and you're a yo-yo? Yeah.
I mean, it's good money in being a yo-yo team, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just don't get relegated out of League 2.
Yeah.
This year, and then go from there, man.
And Coco, is this a 76ers situation, meaning Chelsea, where you give any coach a pass because they're so awful? I don't know. But the thing is you've got to sit there and look at Bowley Clear Lake and how much investing they're doing and how their hands are into the whole thing and how they want to be part of the cook. They want to be a part of the kitchen, and they want to come in and yell at their players. And Frank Lampard says that's okay. And I mean, I turn to our resident Chelsea supporter, Michael Head, about all this kind of stuff. And you wonder, you literally wonder if, obviously, I know it's your toy and you meddle, but, should you do that or should you just let him go? And Michael Head, historically awful, just awful. And Michael blames Putin for the death of Jerry Springer. Night Bam, thank you. It's always great to have you here. Coco, literally anything else would be a better option. And Michael Head, Bowley and company are doing the reverse Ted Lasso. The reverse Ted Lasso. I mean, not really wrong at this point.
Yeah.
Not really wrong. Is there too? So Hutcho is going to rephrase the question: is there too much sclerosis in the EPL? Where the good is good, the bad is bad, and
that's my beef. But that's my beef with the EPL anyway. Like, is that it's so damn. My beef with it is always that it's so damn top heavy, and that you'll have some really fun teams in the middle as well. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean to insult those teams that are kind of in the middle of the standings.
Yeah,
there's some really fun teams there, but let's not pretend like the entirety of the EPL is great up to down. Because like the bottom half of the EPL can be grim.
Mm-hmm. It could. I mean,
It-
literally, it could.
Yeah. It can be really bad to watch, man.
Yeah, it absolutely could.
So like, let's not. So yes, that's my thing. It's like, let's not pretend like the EPL is some magical creature that's like top to bottom is amazing, because every league is like that, and England's not the only one. Every league is like that, where you're going to have really good and really bad. Like,
yeah,
it's just part of it.
Yeah. Coco, owners don't belong in the kitchen. Stay in the owner's box where you belong. See Jerry Jones. Ricky, if you pull a Jerry Jones, you deserve bad things.
Jesus.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I just picture Bowley walking around with a mint julep,
looking like Robert Fuller. He's got the big hat. He's got the big hat and all that kind of stuff. Okay. So Michael was blaming Putin not for the death of Jerry Springer, but for making Abramovich, Granovskaya, and Petr Cech leave. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were blaming the Russians for Jerry Springer's death. Okay, but yeah, Putin. Michael had blaming Putin for the departure of the oligarchs, for the oligarch in the hierarchy. Okay, I get that. But yeah, EPL, no, Coco, the EPL has never said they want parity. That's absolutely true. They have absolutely said that they have never mentioned anything about parity at all. You want to have and that's probably why this European club union came to the fore, where they have allegedly 1,000 teams, possibly, probably, maybe sooner rather than later joining, saying that yes, we all want everything to be fair and all this kind of stuff. So you got that going for you. Coco, Leicester was the exception, not the rule. And now, sadly, with Leicester and with more than half of the teams currently in the championship, you're seeing what it does. You are seeing, I mean, Leicester basically last year wanted an advance on future television revenue so they could pay their bills.
Yep.
And you see where they are right now, and it ain't good. And they're right now. They're on I fear for Leicester. I really do. If they get relegated this year. Yeah, Niall, it was a wild day yesterday. You ain't kidding. And Coco says now UEFA's talking about a salary cap. Good luck on that one. Yeah. Well, and I want to get this right from Seferin, and I'm trying to remember where I saw it from. I'm trying to think, was it Telegraph or Guardian? I want to say it was the Telegraph. And it was also a part of the Seferin interview where he mentioned, or was it the Guardian? It might have been the Guardian, where Alexander Seferin, in that same interview with Men in Blazers, where he gave the double future tense sentence about possibly, probably, maybe in the future, perhaps having part of the Champions League in the United States.
Then it's not the UEFA Champions League. It's the World Champions League. We already have that. It's called the Club World Cup.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it absolutely is. It was where is it? Let me see if I can find it. And by the way, Miura made his debut in Portugal at the age of 56. By the way, so very, very cool stuff there. Where is it? Oh crap! I'll probably end up finding it someplace else. But yeah, short version is that Alexander Seferin admitted that UEFA basically pretends when it comes to having clubs that are owned by more than they have clubs that are owned by one group, and they play each other. The UEFA basically pretends that they're not owned by the same folks, and that they just go ahead and let them perform anyway. So let's see, UEFA Seferin pretend ownership. Let me see if that's my keywords. And we've also got some breaking news real quick that I'm sorry that we didn't get into the first half hour. Yeah, here we go. It was from the Telegraph. Okay. Sam Wallace, Alexander Seferin has hinted UEFA will look at rules concerning ownerships of two clubs in competitions. Sefrin admitted his organization pretend that at least one club playing in UEFA does not share the same owners with another, and hinted he was paving the way for what could be the $5 billion Qatari takeover of Manchester United. So he had that in the interview with Men in Blazers, and he talks about the takeover and the Qataris. Sefrin said the question of multi-ownership went deeper than just potential effect on UEFA competitions. This is my dilemma, to be honest. I'm not sure what will happen, but for example, you can be an owner of 2, 3, 4, 5 clubs. That is not a problem for UEFA. The problem is you cannot play in the same competition. Paragraph. You can think that if 2 clubs owned by one person competing in the same competition can agree who wins and who loses, although it's not easy to do that, meaning fixed matches. But if I cannot play in the same competition as the other club of mine, then I can lose my national league because it doesn't matter if I'm a champion or not. It's quite a complicated topic, but I don't have a solution yet. And so he kind of wink, nudged that, we kind of just pretend that we know, but we don't talk about it. So Sefrin in the article in the Telegraph admitted that they kind of do a wink, nudge when it comes to that stuff. All right. The breaking news that just came down, so obviously I have to hit it appropriately before we go, and this is an interesting piece of news. The United Soccer League, the USL, has announced the departure of Jake Edwards. Jake Edwards, president, is out. Announced the departure of Jake Edwards, concluding a remarkable tenure. This is from the release from the league. ADA's president, 10-year tenure, working closely with USL CEO Alex Papadakis and the rest of the executive team. They talk about what Jake Edwards has done. Quoting Papadakis, all of us at the USL are grateful for the contributions that Jake Edwards has made, growing not only the USL, but also soccer in America. When we outlined our vision for the future of the USL more than a decade ago, Jake proved to be the right leader at the right time to guide our organization through this transformative period. Jake will always be a part of the USL family. So you have a quote from Jake Edwards. You have 2 paragraphs. As part of an ongoing transition plan, the USL has promoted Jeremy Allenbaugh to USL Championship President, Lee O'Neill to USL League One President, senior executive team, including USL CEO Alex Papadakis, CEO Justin Papadakis, USL Super League President Amanda Vandervoort, Chief Commercial Officer Court Jeske, Deputy COO Dan Holman, CFO, CMO, EVP of Media. Allenbaugh and O'Neill will lead the USL as they continue to shape the future of soccer in the United States. So Jake Edwards is leaving the USL. So that's the last piece of breaking news this morning. An interesting piece of breaking news, considering what we've seen from the USL in the last decade. And and then we have a note from Ian Hest this morning over at the Heron Outlet. Inter Miami's bus broke down right as it was leaving the training facility last night. Players and staff had to carpool in their own cars driving through Miami rush hour to the match. 15 cars deep. They got there just in time for about a 15-minute warm-up. One car, driven by Pizarro, had Drake, Cheyander Borgelin, and Kamal Miller in it. Borgelin said Pizarro had to drive because he was out of gas, but the tunes were absolutely spot on in their ride. Phil Neville said the last time he was in a situation like that was in youth football. He joked that he was surprised at how far FIU was to drive to that time of day, but it was easier to get home after the match.
Yeah, because it's late at night. You had played 120 minutes and penalties. I mean, Good thing the vibes were on.
Yes,
the vibes weren't on enough considering they like went down to the second minute and had to fight all the way back. But
yes, they definitely had to do that. So that is, let's see, I'm trying to see. Mikel Arteta says the title race is not done despite the crushing defeat.
I mean, it's not technically done, but
that's true. That is absolutely true. Record number of tickets have been sold for Arsenal women's upcoming clash against Wolfsburg in the Women's Champions League semifinal at the Emirates. Ticket sales have tipped 55,000. Look to sell out the 60,700
Maybe they won't get played off the field.
Yeah, 700 seat capacity ground. Gunners came back from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 away in the opening leg. And so there's that. Okay, so apparently Julian Lopetegui, and we'll do this before we go. Julian Lopetegui believes Brighton are the best team now playing football in the world. End quote. In my opinion, this is Julian Lopetegui. The best team now playing football in the world is Brighton. They play in a different way than the rest of the teams. They are very good. They are different. They attack in a different way. They are able to play with consistency with the ball, have different solutions in different parts of the pitch. They show they're enjoying to play in this way, all the players. So it's about the fantastic work of De Zerbi and the fantastic players playing football. This is a big challenge for us. What a chance. We have to go there with the aim and the spirit to be able to fight and compete with them. So there you go. So apparently the best team playing right now in the world is Brighton, according to Roberto De Zerbi. So, yeah. So you got that. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch on the tube before we go. Let's see. Everton Newcastle is on USA Network. It's also on Universo. Women's Champions League semi. Barcelona Chelsea's at 12:45 on Golazo, as is the Argentina Primera at 7. English League Championship, by the way, congrats to Sheffield United and your fans. You got promoted. So it is Burnley, Sheffield United, and a third. Championships on at 3 matches in La Liga Santander on ESPN+. Paramount Plus has 2 matches from the Primera and the Coppa Italia semi, Fiorentina Cremonese. Peacock has your all 3 matches, Everton, Newcastle, Southampton, Bournemouth, Tottenham, and Manchester United. So that's your viewing habits for today. It's been a long day, folks. Yes, it is. 4-card, you are absolutely correct, quoting Rick James. You are absolutely true. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. But tomorrow we'll be back at it. And 9 o'clock is normal. 9:30 is our friends from Beyond Goals. I think it's Michael Parkhurst's turn. And at 10 o'clock, it's the weekend whip around patent pending trademark coming, hopefully sooner rather than later, possibly, maybe, perhaps. And maybe we will be joined by someone who will be joining the team as they trek to Nashville this weekend for the early match of the weekend. Philadelphia Union 2 and Atlanta United 2, Sunday at 6 on the network. And I think it's going to be the triumvirate of Jarrett, Nick, and Jason at various points of the broadcast as Jarrett races back from Nashville and stops at Buc-ee's in Calhoun before he.
We already have it planned out. I should be back home around 3:30.
There you go. So the broadcast will be on the SDH network on the audio side, and it'll be pre-half and post with Jarrett, Jason, and Nick. It'll be fun. The show next week, Monday and Tuesday, morning show will be done from Austin, Texas, because I have a late Valentine's Day date with the boss that takes 3 days worth of travel. Trust me, it takes 3 days worth of travel because we got to get there. We got to get settled. Got to make sure we do the show. We had the date. We do the show. We come back on Tuesday. So Monday and Tuesday will be done from Austin, Texas, from a hotel facility to be named later, but it will be done from Austin, Texas, live Monday and Tuesday. So
that'll be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's another go around. Jared, as always, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. So I will leave it to you, sir, to send us home.
Mucho plata, y'all.
What he said. Yes, what he said, especially after a long day. Since it's the end of the show, that means we get to do this. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you in the morning.